From the man who founded Korea to the man who is responsible to divide Korea, which gave birth to the most beautiful dictator in the world alive, a country founded by a legend, torn apart by ideology, and reborn as a developed economic powerhouse. This is the story of Korea. But before that, meet Hana advisors, who help Korean business to expand their business in India. Hana provides end-to-end done-for-you services. More about this later in the video. In 2333 BCE, a legend was born. It is said that a mighty king named Dangun founded the first Korean kingdom, called Gojoseon. Dangun was believed to be born from the heavens and the earth, making him a special leader who united the people. This ancient land laid the first stone of Korean history. As time passed, the Korean peninsula didn't stay peaceful for long. It was soon divided into three powerful kingdoms: Goguryeo in the north, Baekje in the west, and Silla in the southeast. These three kingdoms often fought each other, with brave warriors clashing on the battlefields. But through all the chaos, one kingdom was destined to rise above the others. Silla, the smallest of the three kingdoms, was clever. Instead of fighting alone, it made smart alliances, including one with China's Tang dynasty. In 668 CE, Silla did something that seemed impossible. It unified the Korean peninsula. This was a moment that changed Korea forever. It marked the beginning of the unified Silla period, a time of peace and prosperity. But as we know, peace doesn't last forever. Eventually, new kingdoms and dynasties rose, like the Goryeo dynasty in 918. The name Korea actually comes from Goryeo. This dynasty became famous for its beautiful art and culture, especially the Tripitaka Koreana, an ancient collection of Buddhist scriptures. The Goryeo dynasty ended in 1392, and a new era began with the Joseon dynasty. This kingdom lasted for more than 500 years and gave Korea many of its traditions that still exist today. The Joseon kings wanted to create a wise and fair society, and so they used Confucian ideas, which focus on respect, kindness, and learning. One of the most important things that happened during this time was the creation of Hangul, the Korean alphabet, by King Sejong the Great in 1443. He wanted everyone, not just the rich, to be able to read and write, saying, "A wise man can learn it in one morning, and even a fool can learn it in 10 days. However, the peaceful times of the Joseon dynasty didn't last forever. In the late 1500s, Japan tried to invade Korea, leading to a series of bloody wars. One famous hero was Admiral Yi Sun-sin, who built the world's first ironclad warships, called turtle ships, to defend his homeland. His brave words, "I still have 12 ships left," gave hope to the people when things seemed hopeless. But even after defeating the Japanese, more trouble came. In the early 1600s, the Qing dynasty from China attacked twice. Although the Korean people fought hard to defend their land, these wars left the country weakened. For many years, Korea chose to stay isolated from the outside world, keeping other countries away. But in 1876, the Treaty of Ganghwa opened Korea's doors to foreign trade, ending its long period of isolation. This step would change Korea forever, as it soon found itself caught between much stronger countries, like China, Japan, and Russia. In 1894, Korea became the center of the Sino-Japanese War, where Japan and China fought for control over the Korean peninsula. Japan's victory marked the end of Korea's old relationship with China and increased Japan's influence. This influence grew stronger after the Russo-Japanese War in 1904, where Japan defeated Russia and gained full control over Korea. Just 6 years later, in 1910, Korea was officially annexed by Japan. For the next 35 years, Korea was under harsh Japanese rule. The Korean language was banned, and the people were forced to adopt Japanese culture. It was a dark time, and many Koreans risked their lives to fight for independence. Famous leaders like Kim Gu and An Chang-ho led underground movements calling for freedom. "Our nation cannot live without independence," they said. Their bravery kept the hope for liberation alive, but this next step would forever divide Korea into two very different paths. In 1945, when Americans dropped 2 nuclear bombs on Japan, this not only destroyed Japan, but planted the seed for the division of Korea. When Japan was defeated in World War II, the Korea was finally free. But the celebration didn't last. You can say this freedom was a boon for South Koreans and curse for North, as freedom divided Korea in 38th parallel by the Soviet Union and the United States. As American are Democrats, they establish democracy in South. Subsequently, Russians are communist, so they deliver communalism to North Korea, and this gave birth to the origin of the beauty queen Kim. And finally, this step divided Koreans into two countries, each with its own government and beliefs. Soon in 1950, the Korean War began when North Korean forces invaded the South. For 3 years, the land was ravaged by war. Many families were torn apart, never to see each other again. Even though the war ended in 1953 with an armistice, no peace treaty was signed. This means that technically, North and South Korea are still at war. After the Korean War, South Korea was one of the poorest countries in the world, but Koreans know how to rise again and make it one of the most abundant and developed country in the world. With determination and hard work, the country began to rebuild. Under President Park Chung-hee, South Korea experienced what is known as the miracle on the Han River. Factories were built, cities grew, and technology advanced quickly. Within just a few decades, South Korea went from being poor to becoming a global economic powerhouse. How did this happen so fast? It was because of the people's dedication and the government's focus on education and technology. But even as the economy grew, the country faced problems with freedom. For many years, it was ruled by authoritarian leaders who did not allow much political opposition. In 1987, the people had enough. They took to the streets in what became known as the June Struggle, demanding democracy. "The power belongs to the people," they chanted. Their voices were finally heard, and South Korea became a true democracy. While South Korea was rapidly growing, the North took a very different path. Under the leadership of the Kim family, North Korea became a closed-off and secretive country, focusing heavily on its military and nuclear weapons. Today, North Korea is one of the most isolated countries in the world, while South Korea is known for its modern cities, technology, and cultural exports like K-pop and Korean dramas. Even though the two countries are very different now, there are still moments when they try to get closer. In 2018, the leaders of North and South Korea met to talk about peace. It was a historic moment that gave many people hope. "Let us end the history of conflict," they declared. But tensions often return, reminding everyone that the two Koreas remain divided. South Korea is not just known for its economy, but also its culture. Thanks to the Korean wave, or Hallyu, things like K-pop, Korean films, and fashion are loved all around the world. Groups like BTS have become international superstars, sharing Korean culture with millions. As BTS once sang, "We have to dream to become bigger." In technology, companies like Samsung and Hyundai have made South Korea a leader in electronics and cars. People now look to Seoul, the capital city, not just for history but for what's coming next in technology and entertainment. As a country develops, it's usually the big players that dominate, making it tough for smaller businesses. If you're looking to grow, expanding internationally can open new doors. India, with its rapidly growing economy projected to double in the next 5 years, offers huge opportunities. At Hana Advisors, we've helped many small and medium-sized Korean businesses establish themselves in India, handling everything from paperwork to setting up operations. Our goal is to make the process seamless, so you can focus on growth. For any questions, feel free to reach out via email or Kakao Talk, details in the description. We are offering one free one-on-one session in which I will be personally teaching you everything in detail. Just mail me to this mail and we will schedule a session then. If you're curious about how Hyundai expanded into India, check out our story for inspiration.